We start by loading our example tree. We add an SQL database from the Manage Database tool by selecting Add New Database. We set the name field to represent this database. Select the type of SQL, the host address of the database, enter the port and the database name, and finally the username and password. Once added, we need to manually set the ID, real, and budget values for each table within the SQL database, as well as the time periods that the table refers to. After selecting a data source node, we right-click on each of the ID, real, and budget headers and set their output as either ID, real, or budget. When set, the bold column represents the ID, the blue represents the real value, and the red represents the budget value. We also need to set the time period for each data source. We do this by right-clicking on the data source node, select Set Date, and fill in the time period fields. This needs to be done manually for each remaining data source. Once the output and time periods are set for each data source, it is then recommended to save the database. To load the historical data from the database, we right-click on the node and select Upload from Database. If successfully loaded, the drop menu of the different time periods for the historical data will be updated, and selecting different time periods within the list will show the state of the tree for that time period. Alternatively, we can use the historical data time plotting tool to show all the historical values for a particular node. As a further example, we remove the data source from our database. We also reset our historical data by creating a new tree. Continuing on, we load our example tree, followed by the saved database. As we can see, the database data sources remain intact. Finally, as we did before, we can upload the historical data from the data sources and view the historical data.